Alright, so I'm going to show you how to take a table of data, or tabular information, like this, and write the slope-intercept form of an equation that describes the relationship between the two variables. So here I've got a table of values, of x and y values. So x is -2, or when x is -2, y is 3. When x is -1, y is 0. When x is 1, y is -6. So there's a table. And actually I've graphed these 3 points, I've plotted those points, and drawn the line that visualizes this linear relationship, just to show you kind of what this means. So this point here is -2, 3. So that's here. It has the coordinates of -2, +3. So, but you might just get the table like this, right? And it might not be x and y. It might be, hours and cars or something like that. But the point being, you've got an input variable and an output variable, and there's a linear relationship there, and you can describe that relationship with an equation in the slope-intercept form. So what are the pieces we need? We need the two variables, x and y, and then we need the slope, and we need the y-intercept. So the first thing to figure out is the slope. And the way you do that is, what does slope mean? Slope is the change, the little delta means change in y over change in x. You might have heard it call it, rise over run. I like to call it just change in y over change in x. Meaning, if a slope is 3/2, that means I've gone up 3 and over 2. Right? So my slope would be, the steepness would be something like that. So to figure out the slope, all you need is 2 points, 2 coordinate pairs. So I'm just going to pick these two, the first two. You could pick any two. I could pick this one and then the third one. Whatever, doesn't matter. You just need 2 points. So the slope is the change in y over change in x. So I'm just going to do it like this. We're going to go in this direction. So how does y change as I go from 3 to 0? Well, it decreases by 3. So the change in y is -3. To go from 3 to 0 means to be reduced by 3. Well, how does x change as it goes from -2 to -1? Well, going from -2 to -1 means you're adding 1. This has increased by 1. I'm gonna just draw a little number line. This might be unnecessary, but if I go from -2 to -1, I've gone 1. I've increased by 1. Okay. So the slope of this linear equation is -3 over 1, which we can just write as -3. -3 over 1 is just 3. Okay? So that's the slope. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 1, slope. I'm not going to write these. I'll just say these steps. Step 1, find the slope. Step 2, write your equation knowing what you know so far. And that's, at this point, all you know is y equals the slope, m means slope, -3 times x plus b. All I need now at this point is to find the y-intercept. If I can find the y-intercept, I put that in here, and then my equation's done. So what I can do is actually I can take any point in this relationship, any pair of coordinates on the table, and plug it in for x and y to solve for b. I'll only have one variable left. So you can pick any coordinate pair, any pair of values, and plug it in. I'm going to choose this one. So x is 1, So I'm going to plug 1 in for x, and y is -6. So I'm going to plug in, and the reason why you can do this is the equation has to work for every point that on the line, or the relationship will hold true for any of the pairs of numbers. So if this line, or if this point really is part of this linear relationship, I can plug the x and y into this equation, and the equation will be true. So okay, so I'll go ahead and plug in. So my y is -6. So I'm plugging in. And then my x is 1. Okay, so now all I have left is one variable, so I can solve for that. So -6, -3 times 1 is -3, plus b. Okay, so to get b by itself, I can just add 3. So -6 plus 3 is -3. So b equals -3. Now I go back to the equation as I had it so far, and I found that missing piece of information, so I just put that in. So my equation now is y equals -3x plus -3. Now I've got an equation in a slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, for this data set. And I can test it. Let's plug in -2, 3. The point's -2, 3. See if it's true. So I'm plugging in -2 for x and 3 for y. So is it true that 3 equals -3 times -2 plus -3? So -3 times -2 is 6. 6 plus -3 is the same as 6 minus 3, which is 3. So yes, this holds true. Just to test it. Alright, so our equation is y equals -3x plus -3. So the steps are: choose two pairs of numbers. Choose a coordinate pair. Or choose two coordinate pairs, excuse me. Two pairs of x and y values. Use them to find the slope. Write your equation knowing what you know, which is just the slope at that point. Y equals the slope times x plus b. Then plug in one of these pairs. Plug in the x for x and the y for y, and use that information to solve for b. Then go ahead and plug b back into your equation to finalize the equation.